I'm Jeff Wright, and welcome to the Blame to Fame podcast. As an entrepreneur, I have not only built an extremely successful business from scratch, but also employed thousands of men and women and helped them on their path to financial freedom. One of the most common themes for me and everyone else who has succeeded is that we never blame anyone and are aware that our success or failures fall solely on our shoulders. It was not until I hit rock bottom that I realized that only I alone could change my future. And on my podcast, you're going to hear the stories of successful folks who have gone from blame to fame in their own lives. I look forward to sharing my journey and great guests that will educate you about their path to success. Please join me each week on the Blame to Fame podcast. I'm Jeff Wright, and welcome to Blame to Fame, where we want to show you how to take all the blame that you have in your life and burn it as rocket fuel to take you to the next level. And today, from beautiful Barbados, we have Michelle Margaret Marquez. Margaret Marquez is her last name, not a middle name. It's the whole thing, Margaret Marquez. Michelle is a two-time published author, a very hardcore life coach, and is super passionate about the fight against human trafficking. Michelle, thanks for being on.
Jeff, thank you so much. I am so happy to have this conversation with you today. I'm really looking forward to see where it goes. Yeah,
well, tell me, what is the, I know human trafficking is bad, but you seem to be really passionate about it. Where does that come from?
I was actually sexually abused at the age of 10.
Oh, no.
So that for me has led me to this path of, being concerned about these things that happen, being passionate about it. I want to see a world where we don't have child marriage, where we don't have sexual abuse, and where we don't have sexual trafficking and human trafficking or forced labor for that matter, right? So that's what started off that interest. And now, having learned so much more about it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a huge problem in the world.
It's such a horrible thing. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I remember, going through the Atlanta airport. They said that was the biggest human trafficking market in America. I guess because of the airport, because it's like the busiest airport they have in the world there. But I could never imagine people wanting to, abuse a child or assume that they own someone else or any kind of ownership, anything like that. That's just something that just never clicked with me. I don't understand it. I mean, you have to be, especially abusing a child, you have just got to be one sick fuck to do that.
Yeah. And the problem is there isn't just one sick fuck. There's many of these organizations that thrive, especially in America. It absolutely breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, tell me how that's really, because I'm a firm believer that even in the bad experiences that we have in life, and God knows I've had mine, bad experiences, mistakes that we make, a lot of that ends up turning into blessings in some way or another. And have you found that to be true with the experiences that you've had?
Absolutely. I always tell people that life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. You have a series of challenges or traumas or whatever it is that you want to call them in order to bring you to the person that you're meant to be. That's what I truly believe. So yes, it has had a positive experience for me eventually when you heal and when you work on yourself. Of course, there's a lot of work goes into that. But it brought me to a place where I actually help other women who have been sexually abused and have been in unhealthy relationships. And I help them to heal from that and then create the life that they actually want to be living, and I truly believe that without that experience, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I quite possibly would never have been interested in that kind of work in the first place, right?
Yeah. And having that experience is what gives you some authority to talk to them. It's not like if I went to the doctor one time and he wanted to do this procedure on me and he says, well, it doesn't hurt. I don't remember what the procedure was, but they tell you it doesn't hurt. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do that. And you ask them, well, have you ever had it done on yourself? Well, no. Well, how the hell would you know it doesn't hurt?
Yeah.
And so I think it's always much better, even in such a bad thing, to have had gone through something like that yourself versus reading about it in a book or studying it in college and then trying to school people on it. Because unless you've experienced, and that's true of anything, unless you've experienced the trauma, the pain, everything that you had to endure to go through it, then it's very difficult to speak with authority really on much of anything.
Yeah. Or really resonate with someone when they're telling me their story. I feel it in a very visceral, physical way, right? It's like, I know that pain because as you say, I've been there and I know what it takes to come out of the other side of it.
So, and you're originally from Scotland, is that right?
I am.
Where all of you live? Because I know people in the UK end up living almost anywhere. I've been to over 100 countries in my lifetime, and I always run into someone from the UK.
Yeah.
Where all have you been?
I have lived in England for 25 years. I've had short spaces of time where I've lived in New York for like a few months at a time. I've lived in Canada for 5-6 months, and I've now been here in Barbados for a little over 2.5 years.
Wow, what a horrible place to land, Barbados.
I know. I could have picked somewhere better, couldn't I have, Jeff?
You could have. And you guys, unlike us, I think you're kind of out of the hurricane belt there, aren't you?
Yeah. Thankfully, Barbados is quite far north in the Caribbean, so most of the time it bypasses us.
Yeah. I'm right. Where I live here in Florida, it's pretty much a catcher's mitt for hurricanes. We see hurricane activity almost every year.
Yeah.
But what is what's life like there in Barbados? I mean, I know I've never been there, but I know it's a small island. They all are. It's
a small, tiny rock, Jeff. Basically, it is a rock. It's 166 square miles. Can you believe that? It's tiny.
Wow.
But life here is, I mean, of course, you have the sunshine and the amazing weather that we have most of every day, right? And of course, the beach is, I can see the ocean from right where I am.
Beautiful.
Barbados is amazing because it is so tiny. And of course, it's surrounded by the ocean. You're never very far from an ocean view. You can just be driving down the highway and all of a sudden this wonderful ocean view, right? It's absolutely stunning. The lifestyle here is very laid back, very relaxed, as you would expect in the Caribbean. There's a lot of diversity, which I find fascinating. There's actually some Scottish history here, believe it or not. I think, as you say, I've not been to very many places where I haven't found some kind of Scottish history there. There's a place in Barbados, it's called the Scotland District. It's all hills and trees, and it's very clear to see why someone called it that. But the lifestyle is just absolutely amazing. I mean, what more could you want to live no more than 10 minutes from a beach at any time?
It just dawned on me, but the community where I live is a town called Dunedin. And it's a Scot. It was founded by Scots, and actually our local high school here has a bagpipe band.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And you can walk on the trail, on the bike trail that we have, and actually hear them practicing bagpipes all the time.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. You know, I have to say, bagpipes is one of the things for me. It makes me emotional every time I hear it. It's one of those energetic, you just feel it. Yeah, amazing.
And then you see the guys walking around in kilts every now and then. And so what's proper when you're wearing a kilt? Commando or not?
Commando.
Commando under the kilt. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
so
has to
like
be.
did you ever see Rob Roy?
Yes.
So I guess he was commando back then because everything just kind of just worked out quick.
Yeah, that's the way you have to wear a kilt. You know, that's the traditional way of wearing a kilt. If you wear something under them, you're not you're not doing us proud.
You're not okay. All right. So you got to go commando with the kilt.
Yeah, for
Gotcha.
sure.
Gotcha. So when you and I met, I spoke for an event that you were doing, and you had uh, just an impressive lineup of speakers
Thank you.
come to that, and I thought it was just phenomenal that that this sweet lady from that little tiny island could put something like that together.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, and it was actually a lot of fun doing it. Are you going to be? Can you tell the listeners about that, and if you're going to be doing it again? And
Sure, Jeff. Thank you so much for that. That really makes me feel great. Mindset Mastery Summit, which of course you are one of the amazing speakers, and we had so much fun doing that interview. We launched it on April the 7th. It ran for 4 days, 36 incredible speakers. As you say, I was my heart was so full with the amount of people that just got on board and spoke, and you know, not just spoke, but actually gave tangible things that people can implement into their lives, right, and help them change. So yes, we will be running it again. It is launching again on the 27th of October for 4 more days, and we've actually already had people signing up. So yes, you'll be very pleased to know that I'm keeping a lot of the interviews that I've already recorded. You are included in that.
oh well, thank you.
And I will be recording some new ones, and I'll have a couple of surprises happening in October on that
Really?
summit too. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. But you know, it's interesting because you put all this together, and there's so many people that they'd be amazed at what they could put together. They'd be amazed at what they would accomplish if they would just get off their ass and do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's so many people, you know, they're sitting at home, they're blaming, you know, their mom, they're blaming their dad, they're blaming the government, they're blaming anything and everybody except themselves. And at the end of the day, you know, no one's coming to save you. Nobody really cares. The only person that's going to save you, and the only person that really cares about you, is you. So if you don't get up and do something, nothing's going to happen unless you get up and make it happen. You know, if you put something in motion, that's action. If you don't put any energy behind it, it just sits there.
Yeah.
And that was what was so impressive to me is where you were. You had no excuses. You had nothing. You set all this up. You sought all these speakers out. You promoted the event and you did it. And that's just a really great testimony of what you can do if you really want to do it and put action behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had no idea whatsoever how to put on a 4-day virtual summit, right? When I first started out to put that together last year in October, I just was like, am I crazy? Because as you say, I don't know how to do that. And I didn't know who to contact, what speakers would be really relevant and really bring that impact that I was looking for. But as you said, Jeff, when you put something into motion and you really get your heart behind it, your heart, your soul, your energy behind it, amazing things happen. Oh my gosh. I mean, we were down to the wire. I originally set out to have 30 speakers, and I ended up with 36,
Wow.
and some incredible people. And it really wasn't that difficult when I heartfelt just asked people to get involved, and it came from my heart genuinely. And I would say that that's one of the real clues there, the real way to do it. People were just so happy to just say yes, and record interviews with me. Even in the last few days when we were running to the absolute deadline of recording, I had people booked, and eventually my team said to me, are you going to start recording? Because there's some point when we have to start recording interviews, right? So I actually went in the other direction, whereas at first it's like, where am I going to find these people? And then in the end, I still had people wanting to record with me, even after the 36 people. And I was just, I was blown away by it.
And that goes to what I say to people all the time. If there's a level that you want to be, and you start seeking out the people who are either at or above the level that you want to be, you'd be amazed at how these people are not going to hate on you. Yeah. You'd be amazed at how many of these people are willing to help you, because they were there once, someone helped them. Someone said to me not long ago that they were totally self-made. They were totally self-sufficient. I said, that's bullshit. There's not one person on this earth who is totally self-made. Somebody got help from someone. And if you're with the wrong people, if you're at people that are not at the level you want to be, or people that, well, particularly family, or particularly friends, you and I have talked about that before.
Yes.
They're going to be haters. They're not going to be they're not going to be in your corner. The people that are at or above the level that you are, these are the people that have the same problem you and I have. They have family and friends that are haters, and people that aren't going to discourage you. So they're the misfits, just like we are.
Yeah.
So that's why they're willing to help. And I think that's true of anything, of absolutely anything. If you're seeking to grow, if you look for mentorship or for help from someone who has done it, I think they're going to be far more willing to lend you a hand.
Yeah, it's so true, Jeff. I mean, I reached out to some really big names. I mean, when I decided to do Mindset Mastery Summit, I decided to do it. Let's put it that way. And I reached out to like the likes of Ed Mylett, Brendon Burchard, several other names that I could mention. And, whilst I didn't get them on the summit, these guys, especially Ed Mylett, still responded back to me and still said, look, I would love to do it, but I have a management team that does charge a chunk of money whenever I do these things. So it's not possible to do it for free, which is fine. And he wished me well. And since then we've built a rapport up, and he was really rooting for me. He sent me a voice note saying, I really wish you well. I really
That's
hope
amazing.
It goes, and so again, even though that person didn't speak, that encouragement and that support was still there, and to get that kind of encouragement from someone like Ed Mylett is just like mind-blowing, Yeah. And then he ended up, I sent him my book, and he's given me a ticket to his event at the end of May. And, and again, just because that thing doesn't happen when you want it to happen, doesn't mean you stop building that relationship, right?
Yeah, I guarantee you one day you'll have him on your podcast.
Yeah. Because that's what relationship building is all about.
Just by building the relationship.
Yeah, it's not about what you need right now or what it's about building that long-term relationship.
Yeah, and relationships are everything, especially now. When most of the country went on lockdown, here in Florida, we really didn't. but when most of it did, I was having to do business on Zoom calls with all these people that work with me. And a lot of them couldn't work because they couldn't get out. And I told them, if you do nothing else, spend this time to build your relationships with your clients. Don't try to sell them anything. Reach out to them, just ask them how they're doing. Let them know that you're there for them, that you're concerned about them. Just build those relationships. And then the next time that you call them and you want something, they're probably going to pick up the phone. But a lot of people think that building relationships is having expectations of getting something back. And if you're building relationships based on that, then you're not really building relationships. It's the same way with referrals. I'm a firm believer that if you run a business, if you're not getting at least half of your business from referrals, something's wrong. You're doing something wrong. And it's not the like at my wife's clinic where she says, oh, well, she'll be talking to a lady that she did a facial with, and she'll say, oh, well, if you refer me 5 women that get a facial, I'll give you one too. To me, that's just kind of whoring the relationship out. The way that you really get referrals in that business, or in any business for that matter, is to treat the people with respect and give them an experience that's so nice, so delightful, that they're willing to tell people on their own without you having to ask them to do it. And if you provide that level of service, and that's all part of building relationship, that's when the true business comes. That's when the money comes in, is when that happens. And it's no different with what you're doing.
Yeah, I really truly believe in building relationships for relationships' sake. You may never do business with that person, or you may never, have a transaction in any way, shape, or form, but you will have that relationship. And then that person may introduce you to someone that gives you the biggest contract of your entire business, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's happened to me in my insurance business. It's just, and it's funny how one thing can go wrong and it can lead to something totally unexpected and something way bigger than you ever thought it would be.
Yeah.
You
it
just
often leads to something bigger, don't you think, Jeff?
Oh, 100% I do. 100% I do. But you also have to be willing to go out and make those relationships.
Yes.
I think, and I kind of get it. You're talking about human trafficking and, taking care of children and all that. But there's a double-edged sword that they really teach kids not to talk to strangers. Well, if you want to build relationships, you have to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
The strangers are the ones that are going to help you. The strangers are the ones that have the money. They're the ones that have what you need. So you have to talk to them. And I get it why they tell children not to talk to strangers, because they don't want anything bad to happen to them. But at some point, they're not taught that they need to talk to strangers so that they can be on the road or on the path to get what they want. And what do you think about that?
I completely agree. Yes, for safety reasons, when you're a child, don't speak to strangers. But the message should also be, when you actually get to a certain age and you have a career and you have a business, you're gonna have to speak to strangers. Every single person is going to be a stranger initially, right? In actual fact, what I've found in my life is the initial strangers in my life have been the ones that have helped me the most.
Oh, 100%. It's absolutely. That's absolutely true in my life. It is, like my wife. At one time, she was a stranger. I had to talk to her. Otherwise, if I hadn't to talk to strangers, I wouldn't know her. I wouldn't be married to her. Yeah. And you have to risk, being embarrassed. You have to risk looking awkward. And, I firmly believe that you can't be successful in anything unless you're totally okay with looking like a fool.
Yep.
It-
I completely agree. I completely agree.
yeah, if everybody looked like a fool when they were trying to learn to ride a bicycle,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but they didn't care because they were kids. You don't
Yep.
really see adults learning how to ride bikes anymore. You know, it's always kids that are learning, but somehow, people get conditioned that they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to look bad, when in fact, nobody really cares anyway. And I think that's one thing that really holds them back
Yeah.
from making new relationships or taking risk. I firmly believe that life's too short not to take risk. And I think that most risk, as long as they don't kill you, most of them are probably worth taking.
Yeah, that's my exact approach, Jeff. You and I are so similar. And when we have these conversations, it just makes me smile. Because I ask myself one very simple question when I want to take a risk. Is it going to kill me?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, which it is
Then
99%
go for it.
of the time, then I'm gonna go for it, right? And that's it. If you don't risk anything, you don't get the reward. Come on.
Exactly. And
That's
is this
simple
what you
as that.
teach in your coaching?
A lot of that, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people will hold back from things like you say, because they're frightened of looking silly. They're frightened of not being ready. They're frightened of, failure. It's like, and really and truly, when you step into who you need to be, then you will find that a lot of things, the whole world just seems to open up, right? A lot of opportunities you never saw before. And it really is on the other side of that fear. I teach my clients not to actually ever let go of that fear. Just don't let it take over you, right?
Well, because you can use that fear as fuel
Yeah.
to keep you going.
Yeah.
But I find that what holds a lot of people back, and all of us, me included, I'm sure you, is sometimes it's uncertainty.
Yeah.
And we live in an uncertain world, and we'll be in an uncertain world until the day we die.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I learned, though, that uncertainty is where all the cool fun shit is.
It's so true. Nothing can become certain until you try something out, right? If we're always sitting here saying, oh, there's uncertainty ahead, and I just don't know what will happen if I do that thing, or I take that project, or I, start that business, you'll never know.
No, you never will.
Because you can never answer that question if you don't actually get out there and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather take a risk and fail at something and know than lie on my deathbed wondering what would have happened.
Yeah,
or regretting what would have been.
Yeah.
And and life's too short. And trust me, I'm older than you are. The older you get, the faster time goes. I mean, to me, weeks go by like days.
Yeah.
They really do. And you really, you reach a point, get to my age, I'm 57. I don't dwell on mortality, but I do know that I've lived over half my life already. I know that. So there's not a lot of time left. So, that's why I'm even more amped up to take risks now than probably I ever was.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how you feel. And you're not that much older than me, I have to say, but that's how I feel. I think we all reach a stage in our life where we're just like, you know what, stuff it. Let's just do it, or as Richard Branson says, screw it, just do it, right?
I love that.
Yeah, because really, truly, nothing is ever failure unless you stop trying and you lay down and you don't get back up again.
You mentioned Richard Branson. I've never met him. I would love to.
I would love to too.
I was a day of meeting him. 3 years ago, we had gone to South Africa, and we stayed at one of his properties
Right.
in a beautiful vineyard, beautiful hotel, and they said that he had just left.
Oh, wow.
They said that if you'd have gotten here
Damn.
yesterday, you could have met him.
Ah,
But I absolutely love this guy. Yeah, he's not afraid to lay everything on the line.
oh yeah.
He's not. And that's one difference, I think, between successful people and uber successful people, is that you take someone like him or someone like Elon Musk or someone like that. I don't think they would give a rat's ass if they risked everything they owned for something.
Oh, Richard Branson's done that many times.
Because whatever you lose, when you're taking whatever money you lose or whatever property you lose or whatever, what you can't lose is the knowledge of knowing how to get it back.
Yeah, exactly that.
Of knowing how to get it back.
And most of those people make it even bigger after those type of losses, after those risks, because then, as you say, they've gained the knowledge, they've gained the experience, and they can then tweak the path and make it even bigger next time around.
So what are the biggest roadblocks that your clients have in terms of growth?
I would say the biggest roadblocks that my clients have is that they don't recognize exactly how powerful they actually are. They don't remember. So they have these stories running in their head of situations that have happened when they were younger, failures, traumas, whatever. And they somehow think, oh, I'm not capable of those big, huge things, right? That's one of the biggest blocks. Oh yeah, it's okay for Elon Musk, but I don't have his resources, kind of thing. I don't have what he's got. And really, life's not about that. It's about you bringing what you've got, isn't it, Jeff? It's about you bringing all of you
exactly
to the table. I would say the other major blocks that my clients deal with is money mindset. That lack of belief that they really truly can make millions or billions or whatever, even hundreds of thousands, if that's what someone wants, right? So that's the other thing. And really, truly, I would say being able to dream big enough, really, truly believing that, that they can dream big enough and they're worthy of it. They are enough, and everything's already inside of them.
A lot of the people that work with me, the salespeople that I coach in my own company, people that have been working with me forever, the one thing that's so frustrating to me is that I know they are so much more capable of more.
That's what I get frustrated with.
And I have said to them, if you believed in yourself just that much more than I believe in you, there's no telling where you would be.
Yeah, 51% is all you need. 51% is all you need.
51%. That's right. That's right. 51%. And it's just that they limit their mindset of where they are. Yeah, it's like one day I'm at the marina and I'm walking out and there's this kid staring at my Porsche. And he says, "That's a cool car." I was like, "Thanks." He says, "Yeah, I'll never be able to afford that." I said, if you think that you'll never be able to afford it, you're absolutely right. You won't.
Exactly it. That's the kind of blocks. And people think it's innocent. Oh, it's just a little comment. It's language is so important, isn't it, Jeff? Especially the language we speak to ourselves.
Yeah, because one of the things that I teach in sales is literally having the client voice out what they want, voice out what their needs are, why they want it, why it's so important to them, what are the consequences to them if they don't do it. Not to assume, but have them ask. And it's not for the benefit of the salesperson listening to them, it's them listening to themselves.
Yeah.
It's them convincing themselves. Have you read the 4 Agreements?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I actually have met him, Don Miguel Ruiz. I met him on a retreat in Mexico.
Awesome.
Yeah. Quite a guy. Quite a guy.
I bet.
But when he talks about the agreement of keeping a perfect word, it's really about negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Even if it's something funny, like if you fall down and you say, oh, I'm clumsy, I'm clumsy, or if you mess up something, oh, forget it, I'm a dumbass. Well, it may sound funny and whatnot, but this thing in here is listening to that.
Oh, all the time.
If you say that you're a dumbass, or if you say that you're clumsy, or if you say you're stupid, or if you say you're ugly, or if you say anything like that, this listens to you and it becomes true.
Yes, because the brain actually looks for evidence constantly all the time to prove you right. That's what the brain is there for. It's there to back you up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to keep saying, I can't, or I'm dumb, or I'm not good enough for that, I'm not worthy of that, I'm not special like those people that make, the brain's looking for evidence all the time. Oh, there's another piece of evidence that you will never have that. There's another piece of evidence that you're a dumbass, right?
Yeah. And, I wish people could see some of the stuff that I've seen, because I know and am friends with some very wealthy people. I'll tell you a really quick story. I had gone to this boot camp up in New York, and it was brutal. It really was. And there were a lot of guys there. There were one guy was a big diamond merchant. Another guy owned tons of car dealerships. There were Wall Street guys there, big titans of industry there. And I'm sitting there talking to these guys one-on-one, and they're talking about all their problems. They're as fucked up as anybody.
It's so true, though.
Maybe even more fucked up than anybody.
It's so true. And that's the thing. People always think that more successful people have got it all together.
No.
We're all human, every single one of us. I always get the comment, oh, as a coach, as a mindset coach, your life must be completely on point. No, people, I'm a human being, and I have days where I have a human experience too, right? Like, we're all still working through our shit. There's not a day where I don't work on myself in some level, right? It's just, we're fortunate enough to be a few steps ahead of some other people, right? And some people are a few steps ahead of us. That's how life works.
I have a friend of mine who's a therapist, and I asked her one time, why'd you become a therapist? And she said the same reason most of us become therapists, because we want to figure out why we're so screwed up.
It's so true, though. We always say in the coaching industry, we teach what we need to learn the most.
Exactly. And I read something recently, and I thought about this, and I think it's actually really true. If you dig down deep enough and find where you are the most fucked up, that is where your superpower lies.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, your superpower lies where you are the most fucked up.
Yeah. So true. So true.
And some people that I know that really use their superpower, they must be really fucked up.
That's one way we could put it, Jim.
Yeah, it must be. It must be. Yeah. So So if people want to get in touch with you about your coaching, do you coach only women, or are uh,
I coach both male and female, but I have to say, women, my clients are mostly women, because that's, I guess, what I attract, right? It's women that are mostly resonate with me. But I do coach both.
okay, okay. And it's interesting. And the reason why I asked, like my wife, she really doesn't like talking to women. She'd much rather talk to me. My mother's the same way. My mother hates talking to women.
Do you know, it's really funny. In my personal life, I would say almost every single one of my friends and even business relationships are men,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
mostly all of my clients ever to date in my coaching practice have been women.
Okay, interesting.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Most of my audience are women.
Yeah. So do you give them like how many of them talk, or do you have a lot of them that are single and they're asking you, what should I do if I want to, get married again, or find a new relationship or whatever?
Some
Because
of my clients
there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, some of my clients are definitely single. It seems to be this curse of successful women. I'm single myself.
Mhm.
So I'm not probably the best one to advise them on that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it seems that, successful women these days are really struggling to find deep, meaningful relationships, right? We seem to be a bit too scary. I'm told constantly when I'm dating that I'm intimidating. And I'm like,
Really?
who, me? Little old me? Intimidating? No, that can't possibly be true.
My mother's 82 years old, and my father died 6 years ago. And someone asked her not long ago, "Are you looking for a new husband?" And she's like, "Hell no." She says, "The problem with finding someone at my stage in the game, men are like parking lots. All the good ones are taken, and the only ones available are handicapped."
Handicapped. I remember you telling me this. So true, though. It's so true. But then I think we're all handicapped in some way, shape, or form, aren't we, Jeff?
Oh, we are. We all have our hangups, and
Yeah.
the thing is that with whatever, if you're looking for a spouse, a life partner, a business partner, anything, you'll never get 100% of what you want. Never.
Never.
And honestly, I think it'd be kind of boring if you did get 100% what you want.
Yeah, you just got to set the standard and the boundaries for yourself. And you have to be open to another human being, human to human. And then you have to make a decision what you're willing to tolerate and what you're willing not to, right? It's like two pieces of sandpaper that rub along together, I think. And eventually you find that you get a smooth part.
Yeah. And I was, and the thing is, my wife, the 5%, because she's 95% of what I want, the 5% that I don't want, none of that's deal breakers to me.
Yeah.
None of it is. Does she drive me crazy sometimes? Of course she does.
Every single human on this planet.
Do I drive her crazy?
Yeah.
Every day.
All the time.
All the time. All the time. But you never, but it would be totally boring.
Yes.
If you had everything that you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, it really would. Really, I don't know if relationships can really honestly survive being completely and utterly 100% compatible and never having a problem. And I hear these couples that say, "Oh, we never fight, we never argue, we never have any issues." Well, I'm sorry, but it must be really boring in your house.
No, that's actually really bad, because my first marriage, and we were married for 28 years. We never had one fight. We never had one argument. We never did. And a lot of that was because we both were so immersed in our work,
Yeah.
and we were apart. You can get along with anyone if you're not around them,
Yeah.
you know. But the thing is, though, is she didn't want to invoke any conflict, and I didn't want to invoke any conflict either. Believe me, that's changed. But the problem is she did a lot of stuff that drove me nuts. I did really a lot of stuff that drove her nuts, but we never brought it up. It never came up. And it's like a pressure cooker. If you don't have a release valve, it's going to blow up. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And I really do believe people can grow apart. I really do. And my first wife, she and I are totally opposite. We're totally opposite. She's very introverted. She's a wonderful woman. I still love her. But she's very introverted. I'm not. And I've often heard that opposites attract.
Yeah.
Well, but my wife now, she and I are incredibly a lot alike.
Yeah.
There's nothing introverted about her. And actually, that suits me better.
Yeah.
So I think in some cases, the opposites attracts kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a nice cliche saying, isn't it, Jeff? But I don't think it really works out a lot of the time.
No, because what happens is that I would have my set of friends. She would have her set of friends. And my friends would hate her friends. Yeah. I didn't like her friends. She didn't like my friends. So there was no real interaction there. So, at the end of the day, there's just the commonalities are just gone.
Yeah. I think personally, when you want to build a life with someone and you really, really want to build a life, because I want to build a life with someone. I want someone in my corner who, like you say, you have that commonality, you share friends, you can have a dinner party, you can all laugh together, you can all do stuff together. You have that common interest together, but you also have your separate interests in your separate part of your life as well, right? I think that's the ideal.
Yeah. Well, what would you say in your journey to where you are now, what's the biggest challenge you've overcome?
I get asked this question a lot, actually. I think
I thought I was putting you on the spot.
I think the biggest obstacle I've ever overcome was exactly the type of thing that my clients deal with, stepping into me, being fully who I am, and instead of holding back, my boldness or my opinions, or holding back my intelligence, or whatever the case might be, I was constantly told growing up, oh, you're too loud, you're too opinionated, you think you're better than what you are. My own father constantly used to say to me, you think you're better than what you are, you forget where you come from. You come from this little place, remember, like we were poor. And I think really stepping into that part of me, I always knew that there was something bigger inside of me, but it was a case of, I was like, no, I can't show it. People think I'm too loud. People think I'm too smart. People think I'm too, opinionated or bold or whatever. So I should just fit in and not ruffle anyone's feathers. And then I got to a point where the pain of trying to hold that back was actually worse than the pain of it coming out and anyone having an opinion about it, right?
Yeah.
So I reached a point where it was just like, you know what? I'm going to be all of me, and I'm just going to be confident in the fact that those who will love me anyway, and those that will dislike me they were always going to dislike me, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's for me, and I think it's for a lot of people. I was able to overcome it. A lot of people can't. And you obviously have overcome this.
Yeah.
But when you just totally stop caring what people think, when you start to stop caring about being the round peg that's going to fit in their little round hole, that's when possibilities open up.
Takes so
It's
much energy.
when you just don't care.
Yeah, because all of that trying to fit into that peg, being that peg to fit into that hole, takes so much energy.
It does.
And when you free yourself from that, you've got so much energy to put into all of that amazing stuff that's happening in life, right? It's so liberating.
I had a friend of mine who had come out as gay.
Yeah.
And when he did that, it took him a long time. It took him a long time to do it. It was a big, he was afraid what his family would think. He was afraid of what other people would think. But I'm here to tell you, when he overcame that, not only was he happier, his income went through the roof, because if he was able to overcome that, he could overcome anything. And he told me that him coming out is what really propelled his monetary success, because he just, he didn't give a shit what mom and dad, brother and sister thought about him. And if he could overcome that, then he could overcome all these other obstacles of what people thought and whatnot. And it's really an amazing story that he has.
Yeah, that's one element of it, Jeff. And I'm glad you brought that up. But as you said, you mentioned he was happier afterwards.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that those two things are absolutely imperative, because when you're happier, you vibrate at a much higher level. Yeah. And when you're vibrating at that high level, that's when you attract all of the goodness into your life, right? Yeah. And I think vibrating at a low level, you don't attract all that higher level stuff. You can't.
And I think a big critical component of success, and I always talk about success as whatever you define it to be. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But I think the most critical component of being successful, truly successful, is enjoying your life.
Yes.
While you're there. Enjoying the moments.
Joy. Honestly, you bring joy into your life on a daily basis and really truly have joy. I mean, it just, life opens up at such a rate. And it sounds so simple, doesn't it, Jeff? It's like, so all I have to do is just be joyful. It's a little bit more than that, but it's a big step in the right direction.
It's like you read about these entertainers, these really famous people that have all the money and they have everything, and that they find them where they've killed themselves, they've hung themselves or whatever. And I really believe that a lot of these people, the reason why they do this is because they're so miserable, not because they don't have all the physical things that they want. A lot of them are just living a life that someone else told them to live.
Yes.
And when I lived in Atlanta, I lived in the last building I lived in up there. There were a lot of rappers, a lot of entertainers in there, and we had this really cool cigar bar, and I would hear some of their agents talking to them and going over with them the things that they needed to do in their schedule, and it's like they're talking to a trick pony, not a human being.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but you got to do this because you have the contract, or you have to do this, you have to do that. And a lot of these people were really just miserable.
Yeah. And they don't
even though they had all the money.
Yeah, but it's not
they weren't enjoying their life.
Yeah, exactly, because they can't control their own schedule. And a lot of these people are very lonely. because they don't have those relationships. They haven't built those relationships. They're kept away from people. You know, it's like, oh, I'll run your schedule. They're picked up in a vehicle. They're taken to where they have to be. They're told who to talk to. They're told what they have to do. They're put back in the vehicle and shipped back again, right? It's like, wow. Yeah, you have to be very, very strong. You know, you have a very strong sense of character and strength, sense of self to really be happy in that kind of situation, I think.
Yeah, you really do. Well, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to follow you on Instagram, or they want to listen to your podcast, they want to participate in your events, hire you as a coach, which I think they should.
Thank you.
How do they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me. It's my name, my full name, michellemargaretmarquez.life, which is my website address. That's also my Instagram, my Facebook, everywhere you need to find me. Just put that name in.
Okay. Well, Margaret, you are a badass. And I know all the, I can only imagine all you've been through and what little time I've known you. I'm really impressed by everything you've accomplished, and I know you're just going to go bigger and better from here. You know, you're going to, Ed Milet's going to ask you to speak on his stage one day.
I'm preparing myself for that.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Tony Robbins is going to have you on his, have you like right in his phone. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I like the sound.
Hey, Margaret, how you doing today, sweetheart? Yeah. I'm going to I'm flying the chopper down. Let's have lunch today.
Yeah, let's go for lunch in Barbados.
That's right. It's gonna happen one day.
At Sandy Lane. I'll meet you at Sandy Lane at 3.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I love that. And I'm so glad that we met, actually, and I'm so looking forward to how our relationship builds.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know there's lots of cool things we can do in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on. Yeah. Stay happy in the sun in Barbados. And folks, give her a follow. Like her on Instagram, look her up, subscribe to her coaching, because I know she does wonderful work. And we'll talk again next week.